On this episode of GWeek, we hear what people have to say about the death of Antonin Scalia and the implications for our justice system. Learn about the latest changes to the upcoming Student Association elections. And where can you find long lines and delicious bagels? Get an inside look at one of the most popular eateries on campus, the GW Deli. All this and more on GWeek. Welcome to another episode of GWeek. I'm your host, Mary Grace Brown. We begin with news that shocked the political world. Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia died on February 13th while on a retreat at a Texas ranch. His death comes a year after he spoke at our very own Lisner Auditorium with his friend and fellow Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Justice Scalia was the longest-serving member of the High Court after being appointed by Ronald Reagan in 1986. He will be remembered as one of the most outspoken conservative voices on the Supreme Court, often cited for his use of colorful language to explain his interpretations of the Constitution. Here's GWeek reporter Devon Morales with more.
On Friday, February 19th, Antonin Scalia laid in repose in the Supreme Court's Great Hall. Outside, thousands lined up to pay their respects to the late Supreme Court Justice.
I actually had the privilege of Scalia teaching one of our administrative law classes, my third year law school, and so just seeing him up close in person, and kind of hearing his perspective kind of live, it just kind of gave me a different view of the guy himself as a human, and so I thought it was, a kind of a neat thing being in D.C. to finally get the opportunity to, show our respects for him.
He was so important, especially in upholding the Constitution, that he's really a powerful figure to look up to, and especially the fact that he was such good friends with someone like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who is so opposite his views, but he was able to maintain that friendship.
President Obama arrived around 3 p.m. that afternoon and said farewell to the Supreme Court Justice and spent about 30 minutes with his family. Antonin Scalia is the 9th Supreme Court Justice to die while his time in office. The last time a Supreme Court Justice passed away was back in 2005. His passing leaves a vacancy on the court which could take several months to fill. The Republican Majority Leader of the Senate, Mitch McConnell, announced within hours of Scalia's death that this vacancy should not be filled until we have a new president, forcing President Obama to respond.
I plan to fulfill my constitutional responsibilities to nominate a successor in due time.
The clash between the president and the Republican-led Senate was also on the minds of the people waiting to bid farewell to Scalia.
Republicans overplayed their hand by announcing that they were going to say no. If they had just said no from the beginning and not been as obvious about it, there would not have been such a fallout from their own party.
Replacing a Supreme Court justice, especially when it's going to change the majority, is something that it changes the future of our country for decades.
However, history is already being affected by the vacancy. Major court rulings this year could end in a 4-4 tie.
I think it's clearly going to be 4-4. I think a lot of the ones that really matter were going to be 5-4, and they're going to be split 4-4.
4-4 split means that the circuit court ruling stands, but it's not precedential. So for right now, the court's going to move left. Anthony Kennedy is going to be the less important as a swing vote as he previously was. And I think the main thing is to see if we can get another nominee in.
Reporting in front of the Supreme Court, I'm Devon Morales for GWeek.
Thank you, Devon. We'll have more on the impact of Scalia's death on the presidential election and upcoming court decisions when Colonial Crossfire moderator Andrew Desiderio joins us later on the show. On Monday, February 29th, Anderson Cooper visited GW to talk to students about his life and his career. Here with the story is reporter Rudy Venkatesan.
Thanks, Mary Grace. We're here outside of Lisner Auditorium where students are lining up to get into the Anderson Cooper event, and despite the time change, everyone seems extremely excited. A conversation with Anderson Cooper marked the 25th silver anniversary of the School of Media and Public Affairs. Along with students, faculty, and President Knapp, Allied in Pride, who hosted the event, was also in attendance. The Q&A session was moderated by Frank Sesno, the director of the School of Media and Public Affairs. Cooper revealed to the audience his opinions on the Trump phenomenon, the path of the candidates, media usage, interview tactics, and being openly gay. I'm Rudy Venkatesan for GWeek. Back to you, Mary Grace.
Thanks, Rudy. The GW Student Association invites Vice President Joe Biden to be the commencement speaker for the graduating class of 2016. The push for Biden began with the creation of the Joe Biden for GW Commencement 2016 Facebook page, where allied student organizations can post letters in support of the offer. Biden spoke on campus earlier this year about the new modern vice presidency. Students hope he will be able to share more valuable insights and advice for the graduating class this spring. We'll be right back after a short commercial break. Stay with us.
Raise high. This isn't just our battle cry. It's our call, our challenge. Because when you are called to Washington, you are called to higher expectations, to a higher standard. We are called here to advance knowledge, to serve society, to change the world. This is the George Washington University, and what we make is history. So stand up, be bold, take risks, press on, push harder, raise high.
Welcome back. The GW Deli is a staple in the diet of hundreds of GW students. We now go to reporter Sam Cherry, who brings us the inside scoop on the famous GW Deli.
We're here outside the famous GW Deli, known for having the best breakfast sandwiches on campus and the best boarding pick-me-up a student could ask for. We'll explore what makes Deli so special to our colonials.
The GW Delicatessen, or Deli, as it's informally called by students, opened in 1945 by Leo Ambrogi. On the corner of 22nd and G, the 60-year-old establishment is a family-run shop still owned and operated by the Ambrogi family.
So we have kind of a family atmosphere, we like to take care of everybody. Honestly, one of the best things about it is all the people you get to see and talk to every day, Great people that come in the store. Saturdays are crazy, line stays out the door.
The most popular menu item? Breakfast sandwiches. Serving up over 600 bagels per day and more bacon than numbers can count, Deli is a staple in every colonial's diet. There is truly something for everyone, from Italian specialties like chicken parm to huge sandwiches piled with whatever ingredients you want.
I think Deli's really popular on campus because of just the product. I think the sandwiches are really good. There are obviously a lot of options in Foggy Bottom, especially for sandwiches specifically. So I think that just proves that they just have the best stuff. I eat Deli around 3 times a week just for lunch, because they're not open that late. So it's nice between classes and stuff to stop by.
Not only does Deli serve up the most iconic sandwiches on campus, it is also home to an exotic array of sweets, drinks, and snacks from all over the world. Deli boasts a full stock of unique flavors from brand name companies such as Cliff Bars, Smart Pop, and Snapple. If the shelves are missing something you want, ask management. They are always looking for student input as to what they'd like to see in the store.
This has been Samantha Cherry reporting for GWeek.
Thanks, Sam. As GW is heading into midterms and final season, students looking for that late-night pick-me-up have no need to worry. After discussion with the Dean of Student Affairs, Gelman Starbucks, or Gelbucks, will be test running extended 24-hour service. The highly popular location will be using the test run to see how much business the location gets from the hours of 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. If the overnight opening is demanded by students, these hours may become permanent. Blacktivism, a New Generation, is a brand new exhibit located on the first floor of the School of Media and Public Affairs. The exhibit, that runs through May, features more than 20 different pieces of art from GW graduate and undergraduate students. It also includes works from national and local artists focused on the issues affecting the African American community. Stay tuned for more headlines after the break.
We have a big problem on college campuses, and it's on us to stop it.
It's happening at bars, at parties, even in residence halls.
It's happening to our friends, and it's happening to our teammates.
It is called sexual assault, and it has to stop.
There's no consent, or someone can't consent. It's rape. It's assault.
It's wrong, and it's a crime.
If I saw it happening, I would do something about it.
If I saw it happening, I'd speak up.
If I saw it happening, I'd help, not blame.
Because I don't want to be part of the problem.
I want to be part of the solution.
We need all of you to be part of the solution.
This is about respect. It's about responsibility.
It's up to all of us to put an end to sexual assault.
Because one is too many.
And it's on us to stop it.
welcome back. New rules are in place for the 2016 Student Association campaigns. Presidential and executive vice presidential candidates must now obtain 500 signatures in order to run, compared to 250 signatures in the past. In addition, candidates have a $600 limit to spend on campaigns. This is a drop from the $1,000 limit in place before. Finally, donor contributions are limited to 10% of each candidate's total spending limit to prevent any large student groups from being the sole funder for a campaign. These changes aim to combat any financial or social barriers that could prevent a student from becoming GW's next SA president or vice president. On February 20th, the first ever college and university straw poll was held here at GW. College Democrats, college Republicans, the International Fair Society, and a dozen other student advocacy organizations participated in the event. Over 400 students voted online for their preferred presidential candidates, as well as policy issues that they considered important. Presidential candidate Bernie Sanders won the poll for the Democrats, and Senator Marco Rubio won for the Republicans. An overwhelming amount of students selected the economy as their top policy issue. The voting was followed by a panel discussion about the results that was co-moderated by GWTV's very own Andrew Desiderio. Andrew joins us now for an important political news update. Andrew?
Thanks, Mary Grace. It was a Super Tuesday indeed for Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Each won 7 of the 11 states that voted on March 1st, while Senators Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, and Bernie Sanders are just barely hanging on. On the Democratic side, Clinton is likely to win the nomination with the help of so-called superdelegates, the party insiders who can pledge their support to any candidate. Meanwhile, with the Republicans, the party is in a bit of chaos and a general state of confusion over the sustained success of frontrunner Donald Trump, who has won a total of 10 states so far. For months, establishment Republicans maintained confidence that Trump would eventually fall. That, of course, has not happened, with the brash billionaire well on his way to winning the 1,237 delegates required for the nomination, while mainstream Republicans are quickly rallying around Marco Rubio, who carried just 1 state on Super Tuesday in a last-ditch effort to topple Trump. But Ted Cruz says not so fast. The Texas senator used his Super Tuesday speech to call on other Republicans to step aside and rally around him as the best person to overtake Trump in the delegate count. Republicans are so concerned about the rise of Trump that a familiar face reemerged last week to condemn him. The 2012 GOP nominee Mitt Romney delivered a rare address in Utah in which the former Massachusetts governor slammed Trump, saying the only serious policy proposals are coming from Cruz, Rubio, and Ohio Governor John Kasich. Romney said a Trump nomination would essentially guarantee that Hillary Clinton becomes the next president. He called Trump a phony and a fraud, a message that's being echoed by Rubio, who routinely refers to Trump as a con artist. But many are left wondering whether this last-minute effort is just too little too late. The stakes of this election were raised even further when Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia died suddenly last month. The court is currently hearing oral arguments in a high-profile abortion case that could determine the fate of certain restrictions on the medical procedure nationwide. The case, Whole Woman's Health v. Hellerstedt, centers around a specific provision in a new Texas law which requires abortion clinics to be, quote, hospital grade, a regulation that could shut down many Texas clinics and limit access for poor women in the state. Now, it should be noted that if the justices are split 4-4 on the ruling, the Texas law would remain in place, but no national precedent would be set if the court does not render a majority decision. The swing vote to look out for, Justice Anthony Kennedy, who suggested in oral arguments that the case might have to be sent back to the lower court in order to gather more information. For more on these stories and much more, check out Colonial Crossfire in the coming weeks. Mary Grace?
Stay tuned for more headlines after the break. welcome back. GW women's basketball began their postseason this weekend. This is the second year in a row that GW has ranked #1 in the Atlantic 10 Conference. The reigning champions faced off against George Mason on Friday. Earlier this month, we sent some of our crew around the DC area to find the tastiest food out there. Here's Rudy and Abby for our new segment, Let's Talk About It.
Thanks, Mary Grace. On this segment, we're going to be trying to find the best, most affordable Thai food in the DC area.
We are going to Mai Thai, Ai Thai, and Charm Thai to find the best pad Thai in the Foggy Bottom area. Let's dig in.
So I think flavor-wise, we are going to give this an 8.
I give it a 7. I think adding the lime definitely amped up the flavor, but for just going it, I give it a 7. I give it an 8. I liked the noodles.
I give the noodles a 7. And
it made me pretty
very happy.
I liked it.
Like the first bite just made me rejoice inside.
Especially when I added that lime, it was like a whole new experience. I give it an 8.
I'm going to give it 7.5.
Ooh, good.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else there is in DC. Let's try some.
It looks delicious. I don't know what else to say. I'm kind of let down.
Yeah, let down. They emphasize like a spice to it that I really just didn't get. I give it like a 5.
I thought that the noodles were a little overcooked.
Happiness? Not very high.
Charm Thai time.
Oh my gosh, this looks so good.
That looks awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
It's really good. It's different.
I think as opposed to the last restaurant we went to, I think that the flavor got soaked up into like every vegetable and every meat, which is more than I could have asked for.
It's the dream. What do you give the happiness?
I'm gonna give it happiness-wise a strong 8. I'm up there. This is going for me.
I'm gonna give it. I think I'm gonna. You're right. I'm gonna give it an 8.
Okay, tallying it up. Although our math was wrong, our counting system came out right because Charm Thai ended up on top.
Mai Tai came in a very close second.
And unfortunately, just by a little bit, Ai Thai came in last.
I'm Abby Mansour.
And I'm Ruti Venkatesan. Back to you, Mary Grace.
Thanks, Rudy and Abby. Charm Thai has graciously offered 10% off any meal when you mention GWeek and show your GWorld card. Let's talk about that. Well, that brings us to the end of our show. Until next time, make sure to check out GW TV on our website at www.gw-tv.com. Thanks for tuning in, GW. We'll be seeing you around campus.